Bet horse racing on DRF Bets. We'll match your first deposit of $200. Get free expert picks and past performances, plus weekly cash back. All from Daily Racing Form, the most trusted name in horse racing. Dan Illman, Mike Beer, taking a look back at the Grade 3 Withers Stakes, an important Kentucky Derby prep at 1.1 miles at Aqueduct on February the 11th. Hit Show, shipped up from Oaklawn for Brad Coxon, gave a breakthrough performance, Mike. We're going to break from the gate in this race, and Hit Show is the number 4, the Gray by Candy Ride. He's got excellent tactical speed. Arctic Arrogance is hustled up newly blinkers from the rail to set the pace.
Yeah, really good trip and ride here on the winner, Hit Show. He's just going to get over to save ground, and he's never, that far away from the pace, Dan. Arctic Arrogance wanted the lead from the rail on this spot. He gets it, and he's going to take a little bit of pressure here up the backstretch from a couple of long shots. He'll eventually shake those horses off, but as soon as he does, Hit Show's coming for him.
Yeah, Hit Show gets a really nice ride from Manny Franco in a loose pocket right now. Arctic Arrogance, who of course was second in last year's Remsen, second in the Jerome. He'll settle for second best again. I like the tactics. They sent him to the front in here. You have 2 long shot speeds that you didn't want to get stuck behind. He's going to get a bit of a breather on the clock down the backstretch. He's just no match for Hit Show and probably wants slightly less distance.
That's probably true, Dan. It's another effort here from Arctic Arrogance where he takes a little bit of a step back, at least as far as figures go. And yeah, right now he's going to start putting away these 2 long shots, but Hit Show is just keeping up right behind him here, just waiting to come clear. And as soon as he does, he's going to range up outside of Arctic Arrogance, and it's really no match from the top of the stretch, Dan. You could always tell that Hit Show was going better, and he's going to pull clear late.
Hit Show has a lot of stamina in his pedigree. We'll get to that now. He's getting a little bit later. He gets to the outside now, and he sets sail after Arctic Arrogance, who turns into the stretch with about 1.5 lengths lead. But you always had the feeling that Hit Show was going to grind him down. And not only does he grind him down, he gets away late. This is a nice last 1/8 of a mile, Mike. And this race came back fast. A 91 Beyer speed figure, career best for Hit Show in his stakes debut.
Yeah, so far this has sort of been Hit Show's MO too, Dan, and all 3 of his career wins so far, he really finishes his races off. He appears to have plenty of stamina. He's one of those horses who feels like he gets stronger as the race goes on, but he also has a little bit of acceleration, and he's not a one-run closer. He's able to keep paces within range and still finish like that. There's a lot to like about this horse right now.
We'll talk a little bit more about Hit Show in a bit. Let's talk about some of the others. Arctic Arrogance, a good second yet again. He's obviously a talented New York bred, and Linda Rice has options. She could cut Arctic Arrogance back to 1 mile for the next prep in New York. That's the Gotham, a 1-turn race. Or she can wait for the Wood Memorial at 1.1 miles, where in all likelihood she'll not only have to face Hit Show again, but some other late-blooming, talented 3-year-olds. I personally think the Gotham is the way to go for Arctic Arrogance, but who knows? Maybe they'll give him another chance to stretch out at 1.1 miles.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they ultimately decide to do, Dan. This is a horse who's now finished second in 3 straight stakes races. I wouldn't, sit here and say that he's, any one of them has been a disaster. He's run fine all 3 times, but he came up short in both the Remsen and the Jerome. Here, he was just no match. And it just feels like maybe as these races get tougher, he's starting to really find trouble in these races. I wonder how much more upside he has. Personally, I feel like they'd probably be best served turning him back a little bit.
The third choice in this race, Young Frau, finished 6th. Now, going into the first turn, he got steadied hard right in behind Hit Show, down on the inside. Then he seemed a little bit eager. So he did have a little bit of an excuse going into the first turn and for the first half mile or so. The problem is he didn't do anything after that.
Yeah, it's hard to say. It's a pretty tough call what to do with this horse out of this race. I felt like he maybe had a little bit of something to offer in his first couple of starts. He didn't run great, but he didn't run terrible. In here, yeah, Hit Show did drop in front of him on the first turn. Dylan Davis had to steady this horse a little bit, and then maybe he got a little bit eager into the backstretch. After that, there was just absolutely nothing from this horse. He never picked his feet up. It's a real question how good he is, Dan.
Both General Banker, Andiamo a Firenze. These are two New York breds that might want slightly shorter distances. General Banker is a little overachiever. He's going to make a lot of money for his connections if they place him right. I could certainly see them trying another big pot, but the waters are just going to get deeper. And I think this is probably his ceiling right now at the graded stakes level.
I'll agree. Didn't do anything wrong here. Ran his race, did his very best with a pretty decent trip here, and he's just no match for the 1-2 finishers. Just got left behind in third in here, but another solid performance from this horse. So I agree with you, is a bit of an overachiever. Andiamo a Firenze, they got to cut this horse back, Dan. He's had a decent trip here. They decided to sit 3 wide. They made a run at the lead around the final turn. He wasn't good enough, and he totally stopped at the top of the stretch. It's almost amazing when you watch the replay that this horse finished 4th, because he was all done at the quarter pole, and still there were 3 horses behind him who didn't come close to catching him.
And 90% Maddie not only needs some distance relief, but a little bit of class relief as well. I think this horse is more of a sprinting type, sort of a mid-Atlantic sprinter, maybe at Parks, Laurel, etc.
Yeah, it seemed like this was a really tough race for him on the way in, and that's how it turned out on the track. He was never a factor.
Let's take a closer look at Hit Show. Now, Hit Show was scratched out of the Southwest Stakes, and he ended up in the Withers thanks to a little quirk of fate. The Withers was postponed 1 week due to freezing temperatures in the New York area. That allowed Brad Cox to regroup, get Hit Show out of Oaklawn up to Aqueduct, and it all worked out. This horse has a very strong pedigree, one of the better distance-oriented pedigrees of this entire crop, Mike. He's by one of your favorite stallions, Candy Ride. The dam won the Black-Eyed Susan at a 1 1/8. The second dam won the Woodbine Oaks.
Yeah, there's a lot of distance in his pedigree, and that's so far what he's looked like on the racetrack too, Dan. He really finishes his races off. It feels like he's one of those horses who gets better as the race gets longer, really finishes his races off. All 3 wins. Now he's 3 for 4 a lifetime. All 3 have seen this horse pulling clear of horses through the stretch of his races.
And he ran a fast race for the first time in his 4-race career in the Withers, a 91 Beyer speed figure. We'll see him next in the Wood Memorial at a 1 1/8 at Aqueduct. Let's take a look at the prices. Hit Show went off favored in the Withers, paid $4.60, $3 $2.30. Arctic Arrogance, another bang-up second. General Banker, hard-hitting little New York bred, a well-beaten third. But Hit Show's on to the Wood Memorial, and who knows, if he runs well there, Churchill Downs awaits.